Lots of people are asking me if there's any Ayurvedic food. And my answer is that any type of food can be Ayurvedic. In Ayurveda, we are not going to look at specific food. We're going to specifically look at your environment. We're going to specifically look at what stage of life you are at. And obviously, we're going to look at how you digest the food. So today we're going to look at three different things. We're going to look at what you eat, the food itself. We're going to look at when you eat it, the time of the day, and we're going to look at how you eat the food. All right, so let's start. What's most important for us in Ayurveda, it's not the food. It's going to start with how you digest the food. And most specifically, we're going to look at Agni, A-G-N-I. It's a Sanskrit word and it means fire. Agni is specifically your digestive fire. Even more specifically, we're going to look at Jatara Agni, your main digestive fire that we're going to place in your stomach. Imagine a campfire when you go camping in the summer times. You have that beautiful fire. If you want to maintain the fire burning bright, you always have to add some wood. Think about the digestion as a fire. You don't have an app on your phone or your intelligent watch that tell you, hey, you have to add some wood in your fire. In order to take care of that fire, we're going to look at three elements. The first element being hunger, how you feel hungry. The second element being digestions, how you digest the food. And the third element, how the waste is going to come out of the body. So very simple. You know that your digestive fire is in good health when you have a balanced hunger, meaning that you are hungry for your breakfast, for your lunch, for your dinner. You know that you have a good digestive fire when you don't have gas or you don't feel bloated or you don't feel any cramps after you have your food. And finally, you know that you have a digestive fire that is in good conditions when you poop every single day and it's easy to go to the loo and you have nice, beautiful, banana-shaped kind of poop. On the other hand, when you don't really feel hungry, it's sluggish, or sometimes you feel super hungry and sometimes not hungry at all, or some people who have like excessive anger, we know that there's some things fishy with the digestive fire and we should look at it. Then obviously when you eat and you feel bloated and you have lots of gas, same idea. And the third thing is when either you get completely constipated and you cannot go and evacuate your waste, or you have some diarrhea and your stool are really loose most of the time, we know that, the digestive fire is maybe not optimal. All right, so now that we have the digestive fire, let's talk about food specifically. So you understand that food is food, basically. Since we have a good digestive fire, everything that you're going to put in your body is going to be digested properly, and you're going to be able to extract all the nutrients that will help maintain the tissues as we are getting older. Your digestion is going to change, and we have to adapt as the season goes. We're not going to eat the same thing in the summer as we're going to eat in the winter. So let's talk about when to eat the food. We know in Ayurveda that to maintain the digestive fire, we need to eat at least 3 to 4 times a day, meaning that we're going to wait for the signal of hunger to tell us like, okay, it's good to put some food in and we're going to start the food. So let's start with breakfast. In the morning, think about it. Your digestive fire is maybe just starting. So we're not going to overload the fire. We're just going to put a little bit of kindle kind of wood into the fire to really start the fire nicely. So breakfast is maybe not the biggest meal of the day. And we're maybe going to start with something that it's easy to digest, meaning some oatmeal, for example, warm oatmeal or soup or something that's warm and that's going to be easy to digest. Then let's talk about lunch. Lunch actually should be the biggest meal of the day. In Ayurveda, you know that our microcosm is actually linked with the macrocosm, so the nature in general. So midday is the time of the day where the sun is the highest in the sky. So normally your appetite, your Agni should be at the highest at lunchtime. So it makes sense to eat more food at lunchtime that we would eat for breakfast or we would eat for dinner. And that's the conundrum, because most of the time when I meet some people, they're going to tell me, oh, for lunch, I just have like a little salad or, something very small because I know that I'm going to have a big dinner in the evening. And then in the same breath, they're going to tell me that they don't sleep well or they don't digest really well because it's very difficult. So when I approach that with them and I'm telling them that, well, you should maybe reverse and have like a bigger meal for lunch and a smaller meal for dinner, it takes some time for them to understand, what's the logic behind it. But the logic behind it is that at midday, your digestive fire would be at the highest, will be able to digest more food and more consistent food than it would be able to do at dinner time. All right, so let's talk about dinner time. So now dinner time should not be too late, meaning that I would say if you go to bed by 10 p.m., for example, then your last meal should happen before 7 p.m. I know for some people it might seem a little bit early, but we like to have at least 3 hours before going to bed. So making sure that your stomach is empty and the food is already in the GI tract and the digestion is well on the way. You won't feel heavy to go to bed and you will sleep better. And what to eat for dinner time? Well, I would say you're going to eat something very light. So a soup, for example, is great. So a soup and a piece of bread. You could have a piece of protein, chicken or fish with a little bit of roasted vegetable, for example. That's something that digests really well. All right. So we talk about the food itself. We talk about when to eat the food. Now let's talk about how to eat the food. So in Ayurveda, we really like to have the contact with the food. Meaning that in the classical text, for example, they will tell you that you're supposed to eat with your hands, meaning that when you touch the food and you bring the food to your mouth with your hand, you are already sending a signal to the body that you have to start the digestion. So obviously, I'm not going to tell you to eat with your hands if you don't feel comfortable with that, but give it a try if that's something that could help. Otherwise, obviously eat with a fork. But one thing that's very important, I would invite you, if it's not the case right now, to eat in a very mindful way. And especially the meal that you are not spending with the family when you are by yourself, like the breakfast maybe, or the lunch sometimes if you are at work. Try to eat your breakfast or your lunch being very conscious of it, meaning that you're going to look at the food, you're going to look at the texture of the food, you're going to smell the food, and then you're going to eat slowly. You don't go too fast. You're going to eat one bite at a time, maybe putting the fork that you are using on the side, chewing the food really nicely, and then swallowing it. Don't look at any other thing than your food, meaning that no phones, maybe not reading a book, maybe just being sitting and looking over a windows and just looking at what's happening outside. That would be like a nice thing to do during your breakfast or your lunchtime. The other things that I want to add is that eating with good company, meaning that you're eating with your family or with your friends, when you are in that kind of setup, having some good conversation and being engaged in conversations, that will help for the digestions. We don't want to overload the system, so we tend to go with like good conversations. Don't go into a fight. Don't go into any argument with the family of your friends, because that will have an impact on how you digest the food. Now you have a better idea. You can see that there's maybe no Ayurvedic food per se. Food is food, as my teacher would say. And when you feel the signal that your acne is ready, your digestive fire is ready to turn on, then you have to eat the food. And whatever the food you eat, that food will be able to transform into nutrients that will feed all your tissue in the body. I hope that will help you. And if you need more, then do not hesitate to contact me for a one-on-one consultation with you on how I can help you live a better life. I see you. I love you.